Welcome back to Getaway Day. I am Mason, he is Gautham, and we are here for our third Minisode on updating or giving you an update on teams who have made a lot of moves since we've talked about them last. This episode, the Cincinnati Reds. Now, we talked about the NL Central a long time ago. Both in time and in number of moves the Reds have made. At the time we talked about them last, the only thing that had changed from the 2021 Reds to the 2022 Reds was losing Michael Lorenzen and Nick Castellanos. If you've not been living under a rock, you know that that is not even remotely the state of the team now. Sonny Gray, Tucker Barnhart, Jesse Winker, Eugenio Suarez, Amir Garrett, all gone. All of them. They've brought in Tommy Pham, Colin Moran, and Jake Fraley. So this team is 100% different, it seems. Like, you still got Votto, you still got India, you still got Tyler Stevenson and Luis Castillo. But don't know how much longer you've got Castillo. But so what do you think of all these moves, Gowie?
Well, it's pretty clear that they're cost cutting. If you go back to the lockout, right before the final deal was reached, the Reds ownership was one of the groups that voted against raising the luxury tax at one of the proposal stages. So they're kind of just taking it out on the team, taking it out on the fans, really here. Um, some of the moves they don't make sense from a baseball perspective, really at all. When you look at the trade of Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez to Seattle, they basically were doing that so they could get rid of Suarez's contract, and you give up basically your best hitter on the team in Jesse Winker, and then you go out and replace him with Tommy Pham at a higher price. So it's like, why exactly are we doing this?
Yeah, it really doesn't make sense. And this is a team that I thought should have probably gone out and got Pham anyway, but that was assuming they still had Winker. Because Pham is 34 years old. He gets hurt all the time. He has can't think of the name of the condition, but he's got an eye condition that basically his eyes are just getting progressively worse and worse. And he has to get new contacts about twice a year with different prescriptions. And so you never know if he's going to be able to see, if he's going to be good or what. But he's a really high upside guy still. So if you still had Winker, that move would make sense. Replacing Winker with him makes zero sense. And
yeah, it's like they tried to make moves to half-heartedly compete, but it's probably just because they don't have the resources necessary to really add to this team. But yeah, they lost a lot. They're clearly not as good as they were last year when they were just a bit over 500.
yeah. Now, the Reds, last time the Reds went out and tried to make a big trade to cut costs, though, they had to give up a lot of prospects. They gave up Jeter Downs, and they gave up what's the other guy?
Josiah Gray.
Yeah. And Josiah Gray to the Dodgers to give up, or to get, can't even remember which trade that was.
It was the Puig trade where they dumped Homer Bailey's salary on the Dodgers.
Homer Bailey.
Puig back. It was very, very complicated trade.
Yeah, but that one kind of destroyed their farm system at the top end from having their top prospects. And so they were determined not to do that this year. And in order to not give up their prospects, you give up Winker. But so this team has seemingly a lot of holes. And the one that, to me, I think is probably the most stomachable is the starting rotation. I mean, this starting rotation looks completely new since Castillo's hurt to start the year. You have Tyler Mahle, and he's the only guy, I guess, and Vladimir Gutierrez, who were both in the rotation last year. And then you have, how do you say his name? Reaver San Martin?
Yeah.
Yeah, Reaver San Martin, and then Hunter Green is making the opening day rotation, not opening day start, just in the rotation. And then Nick Lodolo will be up in about a week. So those two guys, incredibly good prospects. they're probably going to be pretty darn good. Lodolo, I believe, is a lefty, isn't he?
Yep.
So that'll be a nice change of pace in that rotation, getting some lefty action in there. And Hunter Green is an absolute flamethrower. Well, I think they both are, but
Green gets it up there well over 100, like no problem. He's probably the hardest thrower in all of baseball as a starting pitcher.
yeah. But
Um, but yeah, the at least so they did get rid of Sonny Gray in a trade to the Twins. They brought and then we didn't mention the loss of Wade Miley on waivers way early in the offseason there. So they
yeah,
lost Miley, they lost Gray. They brought in Mike Minor from the Royals in a trade for Garrett. Mike Minor's also injured. Um, so both he and Castillo will be on the shelf to start the season. So it opens up this spot for these younger guys to get their chances to shine. So that's kind of the most interesting thing to watch with the Reds to see how these starting pitchers do when they're given the chance to actually start at the major league level.
yeah. And then they did get back in the Twins trade. They pitching prospect, the first or the Twins first round pick last year, right? What's his name?
Yep, Chase Petty.
What level is Petty at? Is he
So
like a ways out?
he's never pitched professionally at all. He
Okay,
got drafted
so he'll be down at
in
A
21.
ball then.
Yeah, and he's
Gotcha.
an absolute flamethrower. He's reached 102 miles per hour. So
Dang. Yeah. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how this rotation works out now. I know like everyone knows about Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo. I think if you know anything about prospects in general, you know those two. But you want to talk a little bit about Reaver San Martin?
yeah, so he is not like Lodolo or Green at all in that he throws pretty slow. Uh, he got to the majors last year, pitched 2 starts. They're really good, uh, but his fastball velocity was 89.9. So not a hard thrower, just kind of a guy that limits the barrel damage, gets a lot of ground balls in the minors leagues. At least he did 54% at AAA in 2021. It's just a kind of unusual profile and kind of a different look for that rotation. So I want to see if he can succeed.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting because, like, until you mentioned him here a little while ago, I had no idea who
It's
this
off
guy
the
was.
radar,
So,
right? Yeah.
yeah. So, and especially knowing that Hunter Green and Lodolo are going to be in this rotation, I think it's one of those that, if San Martin performs well, I think he's going to surprise a lot of people and turn a lot of heads. Because from what I can tell, he sounds a little bit more like a Kyle Hendricks type. Is that probably a fair archetype?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to compare anyone to Kyle Hendricks just because uh,
Because no one's that
he,
nerdy.
yeah, no one's that nerdy. No one has really the command that he has. Basically, it's hard to find a guy that controls so well and then also limits the hard contact. But like everyone wants to be the next Kyle Hendricks, I guess, if you don't have the premium velocity.
That's fair. Yeah. So there's a lot of upside in their rotation. Their bullpen, I think, not as much. They didn't really make a whole lot of moves. They brought in Hunter Strickland. They brought in Buck Farmer. Um, yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say about
Yeah,
their
they
bullpen.
got a bunch of hard throwers here, like Art Warren, Ryan Hendricks throws extremely hard. Tony Santillan, he's another kind of interesting young guy that could potentially be a starter down the road, but not like a super bullpen or anything like that. They're just basically a bunch of guys. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So, do you think this team is going to be able to actually make any noise this year? Like the lineup is not at face value terrible. India, Naquin, Votto, Stevenson, Mustakis, Pham, Colin Moran, Farmer, and Nick Senzel. And then they do have Jose Barrero and Donovan Solano both starting the year in the IL. So at face value, to me, it sounds like it could be a decent lineup. It's not going to put up a whole bunch of runs, but I don't know. I'm kind of, I don't know what to think about it. Like, there's not any huge power guys. There's not any incredibly fast guys. There's not any, I don't know. It just kind of looks like they went and found like the most kind of average hitters they could and
it's
put them next to
definitely
Joey
a
Votto.
very, very average lineup. I think that should keep them. They're not awful, like you've been saying, but the pitching could be a big problem for them. As exciting as a lot of the guys are, right now the only experienced, reliable guy they have in there is Tyler Malley. So if the other guys, the young guys, struggle, they could be in for a really rough summer, especially pitching in that ballpark.
Yeah. Oh, almost forgot about the ballpark. Yikes. All right. You got anything else you want to talk about the Reds, or?
Um, so they have seemingly an excess of these outfielders. Um, right now, Senzel, Pham, and Naquin probably play a lot. But don't forget about Aristides Aquino, Shogo Akiyama, Jake Fraley, who they just traded for. Maybe one of those guys pops off and recaptures some of their previous good play, and maybe they find something there. Who knows?
Yeah. For if I were for all Reds fans, I'm hoping that's the case. Is Fraley, if he pops off, he could be that speedy guy that I think could be a spark plug for this team. So, all right, cool. Well, if you enjoy our podcast, make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or YouTube so that you don't miss any future episodes. Make sure you let us know your thoughts through the YouTube comments, leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, or reaching out to us on Facebook and Twitter at Getaway Day Pod, or joining our Discord server and just letting us know your thoughts as they come to you. So thank you very much, and we will catch you next time.